Welcome one and all to the Cine Geeks podcast where movies, TV, and all things geek collide. It's November 11, 2023. Happy 11/11 everyone. I'm Roy, joined by my lovely co-host Angela.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey Angela. And for today's episode, we will be talking about two of Marvel Studios' most awaited releases this year. So that would be The Marvels and of course the season 2 finale of Loki
Yes.
on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So medyo matagal nating inaabangan tong dalawang to.
Yeah.
Okay, ever since the promise of, well, of course, yung team up ni Captain Marvel, ni Miss Marvel, tsaka ni Captain Monica Rambeau
Yeah.
was teased way back. Especially yung end credit scene ng The Marvels. Na bigla na lang lumabas si Carol Danvers sa kwarto ni Kamala Khan. Diba?
Miss Marvel,
Ni Miss
yeah.
Marvel. And of course, yung intriguing yet absolutely edge of your seat and glued to your chair na season 2 ng Loki. Talagang ibang klase.
Grabe. Parang it doesn't even feel like Marvel.
Mm-hmm. Oo, talaga. Kasi sa sobrang, well, just ano lang.
Well, just before we continue,
Sige. Before ba tayo, go.
we'd like to remind everyone who hasn't done so to follow our pod wherever you listen to podcasts, like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube.
Also, please set your players to automatically download our new episodes so you don't miss out on our fun Cine Geek conversations.
And please don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Threads, X or Twitter, and Instagram so we can join in on the Cine Geeks conversation.
Yes, by the way, please don't forget, we already have a website, www.cinegeekspod.com, where you can get all of your latest movie, TV, and geek news. And while you're at it, why don't you leave us a 5-star review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and a thumbs up on YouTube if you absolutely enjoyed this episode. This helps us out a lot, so thank you very much in advance. But before we go on to our review slash, di naman siguro recap, review of
Review
the
and reaction.
and reactions. By the way, we are going full spoilers here.
Yeah.
Okay? So, if you haven't seen the show and the movie that we're going to be talking about today,
Pause this episode right now, watch it first, and then come back.
then balikan nyo kami. Yep. But I guess ito, sige, magandang pause point muna. Pakinggan muna nila to and then pause the episode because we have to acknowledge a very important update, okay, that affects many Hollywood productions, most especially upcoming MCU projects that we are also very excited about.
Yeah.
Okay? But the biggest update is that finally, after 118 days of picketing or manning the picket lines,
Tagal din, no?
sobra, the SAG-AFTRA has finally reached a deal with the AMPTP. Okay?
Yay.
Yes, we have very much so. Great news with regard to a deal with regard to many working conditions that are meant to protect actors of course,
Hollywood.
all stature. Medyo kung kahit big star ka or kahit background player ka, protektado dapat yung mga actors na yun.
Ng rights nila.
Yes,
Yeah.
itong deal na to.
Uh-huh.
So just going over quickly and then we can just discuss it also real quick. So the first major takeaway, and actually ito yung pinaglalaban nila ever since, is that the actors have won pay raises or promises for pay raises as well as protections against artificial intelligence. Okay, so we are taking our information from thehill.com, and I will quote, "While many details about the agreement remain under wraps, SAG-AFTRA touted the contract Wednesday as valued at over $1 billion. The deal includes minimum pay increases and unprecedented provisions for consent and compensation related to the use of artificial intelligence by the studios."
So they're not entirely banning it
Hindi.
or prohibiting it.
Oo.
They're just regulating it.
Yes.
And they can still do AI but with consent.
Tama.
Okay.
Yon. Ano yung parang previous na information na meron natin? By the way, we've talked about this in detail with our first few episodes.
Yeah.
The SAG-AFTRA and the WGA strike nung sabay silang
Yes, that's right. Back in July, I think.
pa.
Yeah.
Wow, Diyos ko. Tagal natin ginagawa.
One of our first episodes here at Cine Geeks.
Yes, and actually just last Tuesday.
Our previous episode. Yeah.
Yes, our previous episode nung nag Cine Geeks Roundup.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so we had a very brief update about the strike.
Yes.
Kasi during that last weekend when
May developments then.
Na sinabi na itong deal na to, which was eventually, spoiler alert, eventually accepted by the actors, sinabi na nung mga producers or yung AMPTP na ito yung kanilang last, best, and final offer.
So, kumbaga ultimatum.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And medyo na-feel ko na rin naman na they're nearing the end na of the talks. And I'm just glad na, all our actors are gonna go back to work. I'm sure they also missed it. And excited na din sila to work on their projects na naantala because of the strike.
That's true. Well, also, one more thing to note here is that isa sa mga pinaglalaban nung mga actors is that yung kanilang share of revenue ng earnings from streaming rights. Initially, they had asked that they get 2% of the revenue from streaming.
From the subscription
Yes, yung
revenue.
Yung kanilang total na hinihingi na dagdag sa kanilang kita based on subscriber count. So, eventually, nagrelent sila, yung actors. It went down to 1%. And then now, they agreed to a 57 cents per subscriber formula, according to Variety.
So, pumayag ang AMPTP. Meron silang percentage sa subscription revenue?
So, meron pa rin silang meron silang naging concession doon. Hindi pa rin sila nag-reject outright. Nung gustong gawin ng actors na meron silang share based on
the success of their show.
Revenue, yes. So, yeah, you're right. You said earlier that the actors, I guess, are very, very excited to go back to work. Matagal na silang naka-sideline. Okay.
Yeah, I know I would be.
True.
Kung ganun ako katagal nagpahinga, 'di ba? Parang nangangati ka na talagang bumalik sa trabaho.
Ito, sige. Sila nga, just, I guess, 4-5 months max lang sila tumigil. Well, there are some of our friends na musicians, other singers. Marami tumigil for 2 years dito? Locally?
Well, wag ka nang lumayo. Ako.
ayun, ikaw. 3 years.
Yeah. Until today.
Until today. na
naka-hibernate.
Naka-hibernate ang iyong
para silang
career.
nag-hibernate ng 3 months.
True.
Tapos, talagang gusto mo nang mag-stretch na talaga and to get back on it.
Yep. Well, it's a good thing because one of the many productions that are immediately going to go back in force is Deadpool 3. Which after the events of the season finale of Loki season 2, mas exciting ngayon.
And the Marvels.
Oh, yes.
So let's get on the review na kasi talaga.
Okay, so,
kasi all our news are connected talaga.
Well, okay. Sige, with that out of the way, let's now talk about the Marvels. Carol Danvers gets her powers entangled with those of Kamala Khan and Monica Rambeau, forcing them to work together to save the universe. Okay, so The Marvels, of course, stars Brie Larson as Captain Marvel, Teyonah Parris as Monica Rambeau, and Iman Vellani as Kamala Khan. So, if yung movies lang ang nasusundan nyo so far, Teyonah Parris, of course, played Monica Rambeau.
In WandaVision.
The very first Disney Plus show.
Na Marvel-related outside the MCU.
Long time ago.
Ano ba tawag nila doon? Marvel TV?
Disney Plus. Marvel.
Disney Plus Marvel Universe?
Parang ganun lang. MCU pa rin siya. Wala siyang hindi siya yung parang dating Marvel TV na Netflix na iba talaga.
Kasi clearly demarcated yung movies tsaka yung TV.
Hindi naman ayaw galawin ni Kevin Feige yung Marvel ng Netflix nun eh.
Yung
mga Daredevil, Jessica Jones, yung mga ganun.
Iron Fist. Tsaka Luke Cage.
Walang gagalaw talaga kay Iron Fist ka na mangyari.
Anong name nung group nila?
Defenders.
Yon, the Defenders.
Yan. And of course, Kamala Khan in the Marvel. Miss Marvel, sorry. Okay. The hero of Jersey City.
Yeah.
And of course, the film is directed by Nia DaCosta. She recently directed the remake of Candyman. And she wrote the script alongside Megan McDonnell and Eliza
Karasik.
I hope I pronounced that right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so...
Wow, entirely female production.
True. Actually, ramdam talaga. But we'll get to that right now. What did you think of the Marvels?
Ooh, wow. Hindi naman siya parang Barbie na parang feminist vibe.
Hindi naman.
It's nothing like that. Ngayon ko lang napansin actually na, wow, puro female pala yung mga production team and director and writer. Anyways, what I thought about the Marvels. First and foremost, you need to see the TV shows para makarelate ka and mag-invest ka kay Miss Marvel and kay Monica Rambeau. Because if you don't know them, initially parang you will be taken aback na sino tong mga to. So, I recommend to the casual Marvel fans na manonood ng The Marvels to watch the TV shows first. Or at least, just know the background of these characters.
Or manood kayo ng mga 10-minute, one season recap sa YouTube, mga ganun.
Well, except for Monica Rambeau because she was already introduced dun sa unang Captain Marvel as a kid.
Oo, pero kasi itong si Monica Rambeau dito is may powers siya.
So how did she get the powers?
Yeah, no.
It will be told in WandaVision. Yep. And Miss Marvel especially kasi sobrang niyang fresh character from the Marvel comics. And hindi pa siya lumabas sa kahit anong MCU movie before. So if you only exclusively watched the movies, hindi mo siya makikilala. Yeah, what I thought, the story was solid. It was self-contained. And ang iksi lang niya.
For an MCU movie, it's 145 minutes. Or, 105 minutes. My apologies. 105 minutes, so 1 hour and 45.
Ang iksi lang. Sobrang nagulat ako na, ay, tapos na. So, napaka-light viewing experience niya. Wala lang siya masyadong unnecessary na elements dun sa movie. I love na inaddress nitong movie na to yung mga personal hang-ups ni Carol Danvers. Kasi this is her titular movie, right? Kasi technically, if they are the three Marvels, Captain Marvel is the first of the three to be introduced to us.
Okay.
So, kilala na natin siya from the Infinity Saga. And isang movie lang yung nilabasan niya and then Endgame na. Tama?
Tama.
Oo, kasi siya yung lifeline na tinawagan ni Nick Fury sa ending ng Infinity War. So, Endgame na lang siya lumabas after being introduced with her origin story.
The movie before Infinity War.
Exactly. Yeah. So, dalawang movie pa lang, we really don't know much about Captain Marvel at this point. Mm-hmm. So, I'm happy na they told more of her story and her personality, her frame of mind. Na bakit siya, ano bang ginagawa niya in the meantime while everything was happening sa Earth? Where has she been? Kasi pinakita, she was introduced in the 90s and then she arrived 2023 na. Sa Endgame na.
Sa Endgame na.
So, where has she been? And connecting back to Secret Invasion, I was expecting her to actually appear there. Kasi siya naman talaga yung personally connected sa mga Skrulls eh. Siya yung nagdala ng Skrulls sa Earth.
True.
'Di ba? Sila ni Nick Fury. So, I was disappointed na hindi siya lumabas doon to explain her side, and with all the shenanigans that happened in Secret Invasion, she's answerable to that.
True.
'Di ba? Siya yung responsible dun sa gulo na yon.
Nakakatawa nga, sorry. Dagdag ko lang sa sinabi mo. Nakakatawa kasi yung doon sa Secret Invasion, yung pinaka parang brunt nung galit nung antagonist is kay Nick Fury. And rightfully so. Kasi meron siyang personal connection si Gravik. Parang naging tatay-tatayan niya si Nick Fury in the story. Pero, ang tama ka doon eh. Bakit kay Nick Fury lang siya galit? Bakit si Talos kay Nick Fury lang nakadikit? Diba? Asan yung relationship nila kay Carol Danvers? Kasi in the first place, tama ka, siya yung nag-introduce nung element ng Skrulls sa Earth nung bumalik siya ng Earth nung 90s.
Oo.
'Di ba? Ayan. Anyway, sorry, please continue.
Dahil dun sa conflict ni Captain Marvel dun sa mga Kree,
yan.
kaya na-displace yung mga,
yung mga
Skrull. And kaya naging refugee sila dito sa Earth. So, everything connected to the Skrulls, si Captain Marvel dapat ang sumasagot nun.
That's true.
Although, hindi ako masyadong happy na it was addressed enough here. Pero, at least, kahit papano, hinted siya na she's done a lot of damage in her wake.
Oo, at saka parang, well, siguro magiging meta muna yung perspective ko. Not necessarily yung in-universe story. Siguro more about how Marvel is trying to course correct yung kanilang slate of movies and TV shows as of late. Kasi napag-usapan din natin yon dun sa ating Secret Invasion
What's wrong
review.
with the MCU?
Yes,
yeah.
So we addressed there. Please also give that a listen. Okay, yung episode na yun.
It was a very intense discussion.
Yeah. Yes, intense is an understatement. Yeah. Anyway, na bring up natin dun sa episode na yun na yung quality ng MCU is being bogged down by their stubbornness to cram as many projects as possible in the pipeline. Kahit hindi na siya nagme-make sense. Yung pagkakasunod-sunod niya, wala na siyang connective tissue.
Yes.
Yung former CEO ng Disney, si Bob Chapek, na yung kanyang mantra na, and siguro, sige, hindi naman to we're giving him a pass, pero galing siya kasi dun sa theme park division ng Disney bago siya naging CEO nung the whole thing. And ang kanilang mantra dun sa theme park the more the merrier. Siyempre, based on our experience na nag-Disneyland tayo a few months back, na parks are supposed to get as much money from you as possible. So talagang babahain mo ng gagastusin yung mga tao sa bawat kanto ng mata nila. Ganon. Hindi gagana yun sa pag-program ng shows and movies for release.
Especially sa nature ng MCU, which is serialized.
Serialized na
storytelling.
True. Hindi pwede siyang theme park. Kaya din lumabas yung op-ed ni ni Martin Scorsese nun. Tama siya na, okay, theme park na. Yung lumalabas na theme park rides na yung Marvel movies.
They're producing and churning out movies just so they can have an attraction in the parks. I.e., Haunted Mansion, Jungle Cruise. Diba?
Yun nun. Nung in-approve nila yung lahat ng mga sine based on park attractions because let's make a movie based on something that people remember when they visited our theme parks. Pero yun na nga, buti na lang, nag-course correct sila under now, Bob Iger.
Again,
yes. And naging mandate ni Bob Iger kay Kevin Feige na, okay, what you were doing, nung ako yung boss mo nun, na maayos yung Infinity Saga, sige, balik tayo doon. Okay? I-refocus natin yung kwento dito. And even then nga, naramdaman pa rin natin na medyo disjointed yung Quantumania.
Yeah.
Last, this year lang yun, di ba?
It flopped.
Yun pa.
Ang daming mga negative reviews, negative feedback.
Oo.
Especially sa CGI. Which I would have to give to this movie na kahit papano they kept it to a minimum.
Well, yun na nga din kasi. Buti na lang na-address doon sa fiasco ng Quantumania CGI yung harsh working conditions ng Marvel VFX artists who also, by the way, just to add, have decided to unionize as well.
Unionize but not strike.
Hindi. Kasi they decided to unionize para make sure nila na they can negotiate for better working conditions.
Okay.
Ako naman, I thought that this movie, The Marvels, was it was enjoyable. Okay, I found it very surprisingly refreshing. Na kaya palang magkwento ng superhero movie in less than 2 hours. Under 2 hours. Hindi nga less. Tama.
Hindi na yan yung norm
Oo. Kasi pag sinabi mong dapat superhero movie, ang minimum 2 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, case in point, yung Flash, ilang beses na nilang inedit yon. Literal na 2 hours flat yung running time niya. Para lang masabi na, hindi kasi superhero movie yan, kailangan 2 oras.
Kailangan ba talaga?
Yun na nga eh. So,
parang wala naman siyang naidagdag dun sa overall big picture ng DC.
Alam mo, sa akin nga, mas ma-appreciate ko kung yung Flash. Kasing haba lang din ito. Kasi wala naman siyang kailangan ng idagdag eh. Yung movie na to, parang it reminded me, the pacing reminded me of how direct to the point yung kwento was, like yung Incredible Hulk ni Edward Norton. Kasi yun, wala nang ano yun eh, walang filler scenes yun eh. Dire-diretso lang yung breakneck pace yung kwento na. Kasi yung kung gaano siya ka lean. And although doon naman sa Hulk, sobrang naman kasi masyado siyang lean. Wala ka naman enjoy masyado na konti. Parang kwento.
Wala naman siyang levity. Gano.
Dito naman, na-appreciate ko, you said earlier na parang fresh new presence itong si Iman Vellani.
Yes.
I would also use the word fresh in the sense na parang she brought a different energy
True.
to the MCU.
You know what I felt with her dynamic with the other two Marvels? Parang it's like being introduced again to the MCU for the first time through Kamala Khan's eyes.
Oo, tama.
Parang siya ulit yung bago. Siya yung bago sa mundong to. Hindi niya pa alam lahat ng history. Hindi pa siya disillusioned or disenchanted dun sa mga past events, especially sa Infinity Saga and the
yung all the Hydra shenanigans ng SHIELD na ganun. Hindi pa niya alam yun. Or alam niya siguro pero she doesn't care. She's just happy to be a superhero.
And she was so bright-eyed. It reminded me of how Peter Parker, Tom Holland was introduced in the MCU.
Sa
parang
Civil War.
Parang gano'n na gano'n. Yung energy. Something. I look forward to what stories they will tell about Miss Marvel.
Actually, ito nakakatawa nga. Sige, medyo non-linear yung ating pagdidiscuss dito. Okay, we're not going to recap it scene for scene or story beat by story beat. Yung sinasabi mong energy niya na nakakatuwa, yung dinadala niya. Meron kasing 2 post-credit scene. Actually, hindi nga siya post-credit scene tong isa. Ano siya? End na talaga ng sine. Yung dulo na. It's a recreation of the very first post-credit scene in Marvel history. Okay? So, if you don't remember, that's when Nick Fury introduced Tony Stark to the Avengers Initiative. Okay? So,
yung nagpunta siya dun sa
bahay.
Sa work area niya, no?
Hindi. Yung sa living room niya.
Okay.
Ayan. Dito, nakakatuwa kasi, yun nga parang she's putting her own spin. Not just as Miss Marvel, pero parang it's a meta statement to the MCU na parang, okay, we're bringing in fresh blood. We're looking at the stories from a totally new perspective. Kasi ito naman dito, at the end of the movie, ni-recruit or nalaman ni Miss Marvel na there are other young superheroes out there. So, ang kanyang unang target na i-recruit si Kate Bishop or the new Hawkeye.
Yes.
Okay? And the way na ni-recruit niya si Kate Bishop
is exactly the same.
Exactly the same. Of course, syempre with the Kamala Khan spin. Nakakatuwa.
It's very Gen Z.
Ano yung sabi?
Yun na lang yung masasabi ko as a tita, as a millennial.
Gusto ko yung sabi din niya parang, Kate Bishop, you're part of a bigger world. You just don't know it yet. Tapos Kate Bishop naman, who are you? Tapos siya parang, I'm Kamala Khan. I'm a superhero. I'm from Jersey. And I saw your information here. yung ganun
So, would you like to join the team?
So parang yung bubbly. Yun. Like, please join the team. Please.
It's very fresh. Tama ka. And also, bumabalik na yung fun.
Yes.
Kasi, honestly, maraming kasing history eh. Especially, you can feel that with the character of Monica Rambeau and Carol Danvers. Kasi sila may history sila. The same way na Fury has a history with the original Avengers. And yun yung kino-callback nung scene na yon.
Exactly.
Kumbaga, tayo, marami na tayong pain na pinagdaanan dito sa saga na Infinity Saga.
Hindi, yung kahit yung Multiverse Saga, parang maliban sa Shang-Chi, wala nang akong fun na scene na naaalala. Fun na movie or TV show.
Oo. Parang heartbreak after heartbreak. Endgame, we said goodbye to Captain America, to Iron Man, and to Black Widow. Tapos, Guardians of the Galaxy also disbanded.
Oh my God. Please, I mean, yung Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is the marriage story of MCU movies. Sobrang niyang ganda. Ayoko na siyang panoorin ulit.
Pero tayo na fans ng original MCU, ang dami ng pinagdaanan narratively. So, to see fresh characters like this looking at the same world with fresh eyes, with fresh perspective through Kamala Khan and Kate Bishop, it makes me look forward to what's gonna happen next. Ito yung hinahanap ko for the longest time. Kasi ang tagal nang nag-farewell tour ng original MCU eh. Parang puro na lang sakit sa puso eh, 'di ba? Mamaya dadating tayo sa Loki. Sa pa yun eh.
Well, sige, mamaya yung ganun. Ano naman sa akin, sige, dagdag ko lang sa sinabi mo about yung fun nitong sa The Marvels. I appreciate na it took time to also give gravity doon sa yung kung ano yung kanilang conflict with the villain of this movie. Pero syempre yun nga, hindi na nakalimutan na maging funny and yun, fun. Okay, sige, brief background. Yung kalaban natin dito, forgettable. Yeah, but that's fine, I guess.
Pero
anyway,
yung cost niya parang Thanos din. She believes na what she's doing is right. Pero hindi siya disillusioned. It was a practical thing sa kanya. It was a tangible and exact yung mga ginagawa niya para dun sa cause niya, which is to save her planet and her people.
And actually, yun nga, related siya dun sa parang pagbibigay ng added layer kay Captain Marvel, kay Carol Danvers, kasi yung kanyang actions sa first movie niya led to the problem of the villain na actually, if I may, hindi nga siya talaga villain eh. Kasi talagang naghahanap lang siya ng way para ma-save yung
and tulungan lang yung species niya.
Yung species niya. Pero yun na nga, I mean, if the focus of the movie is not on yung the villain's plan, yun nga, yung fun elements nitong sine, talagang nakakatuwa. Una nga yung sa planet ni Park Seo-joon. Yung everyone talks in singing. Tapos ito nakakatuwa, may sobrang meta moment dun eh. Na parang, ang tawag dito, nalaman pala nila, spoilers, nalaman pala nila na may asawa si Captain Marvel. Asawa niya yung prince ng Aladna. Si Prince Yan. Yan.
Pero nakakapagsalita siya straight because he's
bilingual.
That was cute. That was cute.
Gusto ko yung joke na yun eh. Bakit? Kasi yun nga, lahat ng mga tao dun sa Aladna nagsasalita in song. Tapos siya, nakakapag-straight English siya. Yun. So, yun nga, bilingual.
Alam mo,
pero may isa pang nakakatuwa dito na element. Of course, hindi natin makakalimutan si Goose.
Best part of the movie.
Yung pet ni Captain Marvel.
The orange tabby.
Actually, pet nilang lahat. Pet ni Captain Marvel, pet ni Nick Fury, pet ni Monica. Kung sino man yung makahuli sa kanya, pet niya yan at the moment.
The Flurkin.
Pero yung eventually nalaman na buntis pala siya. Si Goose. Tapos,
by the way trivia. Female orange tabby cats are rare. Parang sobrang low lang ng percentage nila sa population ng lahat ng orange tabby sa buong mundo.
Yes. Source, cat parents here. Hi. Anyway, yun. So, nalaman pala na nung dumating si Goose doon sa Saber base nila Nick Fury, biglang nanganak ng sobrang daming itlog. Sobrang daming Flurkin babies. Tapos, eventually, yung plan ni nung villain, name's Dar-Benn, umabot siya dun sa Earth. Yan. So, without getting into detail, the only way to save everyone in the Saber base is kung kakainin sila
ng mga Flurkin
babies. Mga pusa. Gusto ko yung yung PA ni nagsabi, yung PA system sabi.
Please don't run away from the Flurkin.
Please let them eat you. Kasi may isang escape pod na natitira. So hindi sila magkakasya na fully grown people.
But it's easier to transport a bunch of cats.
So,
best part.
Tapos yung musical cue niya.
Memory. Nice touch, Nia.
Yung ganong element of fun.
And yung ganong mga tongue-in-cheek na jokes.
Yan, tongue-in-cheek. Yun yung hinahanap kong term. Tama ka doon.
Also, para sa mga deep sci-fi fans, if you watch Star Trek, this movie reminds me of an episode of Star Trek. Trouble with Tribbles. Actually, ano pa siya yung pa. Original series pa. Na Tribbles na infest yung ship nila with this very cute and fluffy creatures na they don't appear as cute as they are.
Pero at least dito, helpful sila. Helpful din naman sila doon. Kasi sila yung naka-discover na meron palang sabotage.
Klingon.
Pero ito dito, sila din yung naka-save. So cute.
So, meron ng tribbles ang MCU. Yung mga flurken.
Sandamakbak na flurken. Anyway, so there, yun yung strengths nitong sine in my opinion. Talagang it's lean, it's fun. Iman Vellani is a bright new addition. Finally, many more people are going to see her part in the MCU. Kasi I'm not sure many have been able to watch Miss Marvel on Disney+. Ako naman, siguro the movie could have improved on. Of course, I mean, number one thing na, sakit na ng Marvel to for the past 15 years. The villain is undercooked.
Actually, I think I have an answer to that.
Sige.
We are not supposed to root for the villain story. I think. If I'm looking at why the director and the writers made the story this way, mas more siyang telling about Captain Marvel's history and personality and yung characterization niya. I think kaya si Darben yung villain is to show na Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, is not perfect.
True. Well, kasi yung ginawa naman kasi ni Captain Marvel doon.
Thus far MCU has only shown Captain Marvel as this omnipotent, sobrang powerful, overpowered being na hindi accountable sa mga actions niya. Parang lagi lang siyang lifeline kapag kailangan siya, pupunta siya. And then, she's gone again. Ganon. Tapos, para siyang nomad na hindi siya nagsistay and hindi rin siya nagpa-follow through dun sa mga missions niya. So, marami siyang hang-ups, marami siyang mga loose ends na iniiwan in her wake. So, isa itong villain na to dun sa mga yon, as well as si Nick Fury din, 'di ba? Parang it only shows she may be that powerful being na sobrang lakas na she can even power the sun with her powers. But she's not perfect and she's not the best hero. Parang medyo ginawa siyang gray. Even Kamala Khan, medyo na-disillusion. Parang nung nakita talaga kung yung mga actions and decision-making niya. Parang ganon. And yun ding ginawa niya kay Monica Rambeau, yung naging history nila as a family, di ba?
Ang sa akin lang naman ito. Kasi tama naman yung motivation ng villain ni Darben . Real quick, pasadaan lang natin. Yung motivations ng villain of this movie is, well, nung Captain Marvel, first movie ni Carol Danvers, she destroyed the Supreme Intelligence. Yung AI na nagko-control ng society ng Kree. Okay. So,
that was Annette Bening.
Ngayon, dun, to your credit, sinabi mo na dun siya naging gray. Kasi selfishness niya yung dahilan kung bakit niya sinira yung AI. Okay. Pero, yung naging resulta nung pagsira niya ng AI, totally na-decimate yung society ng Kree, homeworld, na nagkaroon sila ng civil war.
They couldn't even breathe the air in their planet.
That's because of the civil war. Yung sinabi nga dito sa movie na to. Okay? Ngayon, ang sa akin lang sana, kung mas na-develop or na-flesh out yung villain dito, mas nag-resonate. Kasi nakukuha ko na yung theme nung kung anong gustong sabihin ng sine. Gusto niyang sabihin na because of Carol Danvers being a broken person, she leaves broken people in her wake.
Yeah.
So, nung umalis siya, na iniwan niya si Monica Rambeau. Maria Rambeau dahil nung mas bata pa si Monica.
Nung 90s. Yung ending ng Captain Marvel.
Nalaman pala niya. Na flashback, pinakita pala dito na nagkita pala sila ulit. Tapos nalaman niya na may cancer na si Maria Rambeau. So, ito namang si Monica, tita niya or ninang niya si Carol, syempre, nung biglang nawala tong nanay niya, naghanap siya ng maternal figure. And she wasn't there. Okay, so yun yung one end. The other end is, yung kanyang actions, let's just call it what it is. It's a selfish act. Destroying the thing that holds a society together.
Yes.
Because of your pain. Okay? So, sinira niya yung Supreme Intelligence. Ang naging resulta, naging hellhole ang Kree homeworld. Yung Hala. Okay. Kung mas resonant, mas emotionally resonant yung kwento ni Dar-Ben with, in my opinion, sana with a better actor, a more established, mas more gravitas na actor, mas mag-hit home yung the pain that Carol inflicts whenever she leaves something in her wake. Yan.
Isa pa, na meron na namang Skrull na colony na displaced dahil sa kanya.
Plot hole pala. Yun, plot hole to din to. So, yung Skrull colony, nakakaalis lang ng Earth dahil sa Secret Invasion. Di ko alam kung plot hole ba to Bumalik na naman sila ng Earth.
Sila din ba yun? Naalis ba sila ni Fury?
I think.
Ang ending ng Secret Invasion, bigla na lang nag-elevator si Fury paakyat
sana, parang fill in the blanks na siguro na.
Tayo na bahala.
So, okay, ano pa yung mga Skrull? Sige, okay, nakapaglipat sila. Kaso paglipat
na... Mad Libs?
Pwede. Gano'n naman na yung, course correction na nga
Okay, fine.
Wala na nga
I can forgive that.
Yun, course correction na nga So, in-extract niya from Earth yung natitirang Skrull. Tapos ang hiningian ng tulong ni Captain Marvel, si Valkyrie, King of New Asgard.
Nasaan si Emilia Clarke?
So, babalik na naman sila sa Earth. Pagkatapos ng Secret Invasion, gusto nang patayin ng lahat ng humans ang mga Skrull sa Earth.
Kasi...
Tapos ibabalik mo sa Earth.
Na sila ni-reveal na sila ni Gravik, di ba?
Hindi na nga
Meron ng parang paranoia sa Earth at the time. Wala na din yun? Nakalimutan din yun?
Walang, hindi in-address yun. Yun.
Nandun si Nick Fury in the movie and then wala na.
Speaking of, parang dalawang magkaibang Nick Fury yung nandito tsaka nasa Secret Invasion.
Di ba?
Parang schizo.
Sobrang niyang, light-hearted after niyang, lahat ng nangyari sa Secret Invasion.
Tapos, Secret Invasion, parang siyang literal na iniwan niya to die ang isang buong species dun sa Earth. Tapos dito parang siyang, Monica, use your black girl magic. With some things, we'll give a pass. Kasi we understand the inner workings of yung MCU. Hindi siya, I would hope not, na intentional, na talagang oversight. Nagko-course correct na lang talaga sila ngayon. It's a good attempt to begin course correcting. Para siyang pakiramdam na phase 1, kumbaga, ulit. With Kamala Khan. Ganon.
And branching out din dun sa kung ano yung Avengers na mangyayari in the future. Because of how Monica Rambeau's story ended.
Doon naman tayo sa...
About that end credit scene.
Pero sige. We'll get to the end credit scene. So the movie ends with, of course, Dar-Ben being defeated. Of course. Pero one of the last things that Dar-Ben does before dying is nagbukas siya ng isang rift in space-time using one of the bangles na kapares nung kay Kamala Khan. So, ginamit ni Dar-Ben yung kanyang bangle to open a rift in space-time.
Another reality. That's how I got it.
Ako din. Actually, tama. Di, anong nangyari kasi, so, si Monica, ang ginamit niya yung kanyang light powers to close the rift. Okay? After being charged by Kamala and Carol. Ang problema, kailangan i-close yung rift from the inside. Okay. So, tumawid siya sa kabila, sinarado niya yung rift, kaso hindi siya nakalabas. Tinry siyang habulin ni Carol, she was too late. After the movie, after the mid-credits, pinakita na, she's safe. Monica Rambeau is safe. Yay! And katabi niya, sa kama, or recuperating, wherever she is, was, at first glance, akala natin si Maria Rambeau. Oy! Hey, mom! Yung ganun siya. Mom, why are you here? Tapos nakita natin na, oops, iba yung damit niya. Hindi din yung parang Captain Marvel na Maria Rambeau sa Multiverse of Madness. Tapos, may kausap si Maria Rambeau na someone.
A doctor.
A doctor. A blue doctor. Doctor Who? Joke lang. Doctor
No,
Who.
the box is blue. Not the doctor.
Not the doctor. So yun na nga, nalaman na kausap niya si Beast and not the Beast. And yung X-Men na Beast is hindi yung X-Men ng Multiverse of Madness. Okay? We are talking to the Beast from the Fox universe. Kasi pinakita din eventually after sinabi ni Beast na parang, and ito si Beast yung si Kelsey Grammer yung talagang OG Beast. Pinakita na, okay, nag-uusap sila kung saan nanggaling si Monica, na di-discover pa nila kung taga-ibang universe ba siya or what. And then, pinakita yung full costume ni Maria Rambeau dun sa world ng post-credit scene. At katabi niya, yung entrance sa cerebro ng Fox X-Men universe. We're here, baby! Yeah! Oh my God. Talaga. Sobrang, yes.
Yes. Ito na. So, nag-start na.
It has begun. Pabalik na yung original na mga baby ni Kevin Feige. Nung supervising producer pa lang siya. Hindi pa siya ganun ka high up the totem pole. Okay? And, so excited. By the way, nakita pala ni Monica na hindi si Maria Rambeau talaga yon. But apparently, and after digging, siya pala yung si Binary. Okay? She is a mutant from the X-Men universe. Apparently, siya yung Captain Marvel na sumama sa X-Men. Mm-hmm. Si Binary.
I think nung nag-leak yung picture ni Maria Rambeau as Binary, ang unang rumor was she's Storm.
Oo. Nakita ko din yan.
Kasi naka-gray siya na parang kumot.
Tapos
diba?
naka-cape. Akala nila cape yung kumot niya. Nakakumot lang pala siya kasi malamig lang dun sa X-Mansion. si Professor, ito na nga nakakatawa din mo. Kalbo na nga si Professor X. Nakatodo pa yung AC. Hindi ba siya nilalamig yung ulo niya?
Pero kung si Storm yun...
si Storm yung nagpapalamig ng aircon.
Bakit naman siya giginawin?
True. Exactly.
Yeah,
anyway,
so that opens the floodgates of X-Men.
X-Men, we're here.
But we don't know which X-Men this is. Is this Fox?
Hindi, ito, Fox X-Men. Kasi si Kelsey Grammer X-Men. At saka lumabas doon sa end credits ng movie na yung music cue na tumutugtog doon sa mid-credit scene yung tugtog ng X-Men X2 United. At saka yung Days of Future Past.
Okay.
Yun nga yung...
X-Men United and Future Past. So, ibig sabihin, both iterations of X-Men. Meaning yung Patrick Stewart and yung kay
Hindi, yung lang, yung na-save
kay James McAvoy.
Nung na-save lang nila. Kasi nung na-save naman nila yung universe sa Days of Future Past, bumalik naman siya dun sa Patrick Stewart universe Si Wolverine Yan if I remember it correctly.
Oo, okay. And kasi ang alam kong same character lang from those two iterations was Hugh Jackman lang. 'Di ba? Siya yung connective tissue nung dalawang na yon.
Pero who knows? Okay?
Dalawang set of X-Men na yon.
Deadpool 3. Okay? We have officially confirmed na this is the first MCU film that will not take place in the main MCU line per se. And may balita din pa na hindi sila nahihirapan na kumuha ng cameo. So talagang tatadta rin nila ng as many X-Men as possible yan. Malay mo, lumabas pa silang dalawa? Who knows?
Pwede.
Dalawang Charles Xavier, dalawa. Ay, buti na lang.
Intense, no?
Andiyan na X-Men! Yeah! Andiyan na X-Men! Yay! Anyway. Okay. What did you think of the Marvels? In closing, for the Marvels.
Magandang character development kay Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers. And good closure and mas finlesh out yung relationship ni Monica Rambeau and Carol Danvers, and a good introduction to Avengers and entire MCU to Miss Marvel Kamala Khan.
Yes. Ako, I agree. It was fun, it was lean, hindi siya masyadong maraming taba yung kwento. And of course, that post-credit scene. Yeah, parang feeling ko, nung pinanood natin yun, ganun ako nag-cheer simula nung nakuha ni Captain America yung Mjolnir. Paglabas ni Beast, yeah! Oh, yes! And yung mga kasama natin, ang konti-konti yan, pero ang lakas ng cheer natin lahat nung lumabas si Beast bigla.
Tama.
Yeah!
Pero I think overall, this movie makes you sympathize or empathize with Carol Danvers more than ever.
Mm-hmm.
Mas real siya
naging
ngayon.
Fully formed na. Naging three-dimensional character na siya.
Yeah, hindi na siya yung overpowered god na
walang can do no wrong.
Oo, and sobrang detached.
True.
Oo.
Okay. So, yeah, go watch it. Or if you've seen it, tell us what you thought of it in the comments below. So that's it for Miss Marvel. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the season 2 finale of Loki. And the episode is entitled Glorious Purpose. So it's also the same name of the first episode of season 1 of Loki. And here, Loki learns the true nature of glorious purpose as he rectifies the past. Okay, so what did you think of the season finale of season 2 ng Loki?
Grabe. Where do I start?
We eating today, boys and girls. Marvel fans unite. Yeah.
Sobrang epic.
Yes.
I mean, this is how you create a show about a character.
Yeah, not just any character. A supposedly flawed and unredeemable character.
A villain,
A
diba?
villain.
First introduced as a villain.
Oh.
Pero this is how you tell a story.
Yep.
Napaka-masterful nung pagkakakwento, not just in this show, but Loki's overall history.
Yeah.
As a character in the MCU. Kasi it enriched the already existing lore about Loki and his worldview and his experiences and lahat. You should watch the entire MCU starting from Thor. If we're talking about the context of Loki's character, start with Thor, tapos lahat yon marirecontextualize.
Yun yung nakakatawa dito sa after itong finale na to eh. Ganun siya kaganda eh. Itong finale ng Loki, for the first time in forever.
Kakanta ka na ba?
It made it appealing na balikan yung mga dating MCU films. Kasi ito meron akong isang bulto ng Blu-ray ng mga MCU dito sa atin, sa bahay. Tapos, nakatambak lang siya dun sa isang cabinet kasi
for display purposes
naging-display na lang siya. Kasi parang, what's the point of watching the MCU again if walang way to parang to re-enjoy? Wala siyang rewatchability. This finale, okay, and we'll get to why in a moment, just absolutely flips not just Loki's story, okay, pero possibly the entire Infinity Saga as well.
And the Multiverse Saga.
And the Multiverse Saga moving forward.
And you know how important this series is.
Oo, sobra.
And how important Loki's character is in the grand scheme of things.
Yes.
Yun nga binanggit din dun sa episode, dun sa finale, na you have to think of the big picture. So, this is how you connect stories sa MCU. Dapat ganito. Dapat meron siyang stakes. Dapat invested ka kasi it's the universe or the multiverse on the line. 'Di ba?
Tama.
Ito'y talaga yung may real stakes na ramdam mo na talagang merong real sacrifice yung character and real moral conundrum. How do you make these difficult decisions?
Yes.
'Di ba? Talagang grabe din yung character growth. You just know and you can feel na the creators of the Loki show, they really care about the character so much. And they really know him. Lahat ng actions niya was consistent, very true to his character.
Oh, yun. You said it correctly na this feels like something made by people who love the MCU. Okay? and this is why Loki Season 2, okay? Specifically Season 2 is one of the best MCU projects in a long time. Since Shang-Chi, personally. Siya yung pinakamagandang MCU show or movie in a long time kasi this was made by people who understand the source material. Sobrang ganda nitong season na to in general. Not just this finale. This finale, para siyang pinirmahan lang niya yung already great na book na sinulat niya.
Pero it landed. It really did.
Oo.
It made the landing dito sa finale na to. It just made the difference. And it sets the stage for all the things that's going to happen in the future of MCU. Ganon siya ka-importante. Ganon siya ka-significant because Loki just redefined yung multiverse.
Yes.
And he was able to show us talaga na kung ano ba talaga yung stakes nitong multiverse war na to. Na real siya and it's happening to real people. There is a real personal investment dito sa story na to just because of Loki.
Oo. Nakakatuwa na makita na yung kanyang transformation, yung kanyang character evolution was handled in a way na hindi parang hand-wavy na, masama siya dati pero ito naman mabait na siya. Hindi. Yung kanyang character development was still very much rooted in how we knew Loki since 2009.
Actually, if anything nga, 'di ba yung Loki na alam natin sa Infinity Saga died in the beginning of Infinity War, in the hands of Thanos. Ganon din naman parang nag-evolve din yung character niya during Thor Ragnarok into a much loving and mas endearing person.
True.
Na na-realize niya yung wrong ways niya before with Thor and na-redeem niya din yung sarili niya in the end. Parang pinarallel lang naman nitong Loki na to, the time heist Loki as they call him, na napunta sa TVA. Ganon din, yung character arc niya is always supposed to turn good.
Yun yung nakakatuwa doon. Sige we're now diving into spoilers head on.
Okay.
So, just a brief setup lang for the ending. So, last we left them off, from episode 1 to 5, nalaman natin na the temporal loom. Okay? So, basically, yung parang physical manifestation ng lahat ng timelines is falling apart. Kasi nag-overload na siya with temporal radiation.
And ito pa pala, I love na yung approach niya dito kasi previous episode, doon in-establish na kaya na niyang kontrolin yung time jumping.
Time slipping niya.
Time slipping, sorry. And dito, talagang nag-double down siya in the style of Edge of Tomorrow.
Ay, oo.
Tsaka alam mo, para siyang video gamey.
Oo.
Kasi di ba kapag naglalaro ka ng games na every time na naglalaro kang platform, Mario Brothers, aano ka ng obstacle, alam mo na sa susunod na na life mo, na susunod na reset na alam mo na kung paano siya tatimingan, kung paano yung gagawin next. Tapos move forward ka dun sa next obstacle. And then you repeat hanggang sa makarating ka dun sa ending. So parang ganun yung style kung paano niya in-approach yung kung paano nila sinosolve yung problem of the time loom.
Tama. Isa pa nakakatawa dito is, meron kang article up on the Cinegeeks website about how similar Loki is to Doctor Who. Base dun sa 2 season na meron niya.
That I wrote that before this finale.
This came out. And actually nakakatawa kasi na-confirm basically yung lahat ng mga sinabi mo doon. Kasi pinaka-ano doon, lalo na sa sequence yung sabi mong Edge of Tomorrow sequence doon. Parang yung kanyang yung manic energy ni Loki na parang siyang, sige na. We have to do this. Okay, come on. Okay, stand here, okay? Alam mo yung parang siyang yung kung paano kinukumpasan ni 10th Doctor, yung lahat ng mga kinolekta niyang mga former, yung mga past and present companions niya. Nung tinalo nila yung Dalek Cybermen Alliance sa Journey's End.
Tama. Yung magkakasama na sila
doon sa TARDIS lahat.
Sila Donna, sila
Mickey,
Martha.
Sila Rose. Yun, sila Martha.
Nagsama-sama silang lahat. Pati si Jack Barrowman.
Pati si John Barrowman. Si Jack Harkness. Yun. Tapos doon natin nalaman na yung TARDIS pala, pwede palang hindi mag-iingay kapag marami yung nagmamaneho ng sabay-sabay.
Yeah.
Yun. So parang ganun yung feeling nung hinahanap nila yung way kung paano i-shoot yung parang thingamajig ni Victor Timely doon sa temporal loom.
Kahit nga yung mismong room kung nasan sila, mukhang TARDIS.
Mukhang TARDIS din, di ba? Yun. Tapos yung nakakatawa doon is, putting aside real world things. Kasi I can say na sobrang naging compelling ni Jonathan Majors dito. Lalo na sa final episode na to.
Yes.
Ang galing niya as both Victor Timely and He Who Remains.
parang mas naging heavy yung events ng season 1 because of yung reappearance ni He Who Remains dito.
Yun, kailangan mo rin pang panoorin ulit yung ending ng season 1. Kasi kahit yun, recontextualize the ending nito.
Yes.
Diba? Ang daming mga movie na biglang, I have to see this again.
And that's the sign of a good piece of work, a piece of art. If it transcends other works of art, it just transcended the entire Loki series with this one single episode na to. It made it better. Even the movies, di ba? Ganun siya ka-significant talaga.
True. So, sige, we'll now touch upon what it means na sobrang niya significant. So, yung attempt nila from episode 1 to 5, which is to shoot something doon sa temporal loom, spoiler alert, it fails. Kasi nalaman pala na no matter what they do, yung energy nung loom, nung mga timelines is not going to be controllable. Exponential yung rate ng growth nung energy ng timelines.
It's a scale problem. Parang it doesn't matter kung lalakihan mo ba yung rings nung loom. It's always gonna expand infinitely and you can't quantify infinity.
Ngayon, ang naging solusyon ni Loki is to just, since now he has control of his time slipping, he goes back further and further and further in time to find where he can change things.
Parang parang butterfly effect.
Ganon. So parang siyang, kung si Doctor tsaka yung TARDIS, iisa na. Pipikit lang si Doctor, biglang, okay, I'm here. Ganon. So eventually, yung kanyang time slip brings him to the finale of last season.
Yes.
Yung sa lair, sa Citadel at the end of time ni He Who Remains. And nag-usap sila na, spoiler alert again, inaantay na pala ni He Who Remains si Loki dun sa kanilang eventual showdown. So, alam ni He Who Remains na papatayin siya ni Sylvie at first, pero inaantay niya na dadating yung Loki mula sa season 2 para i-save siya.
Ang ganda pati nung pag-approach nila nung narrative Yeah, mas lalong naging sobrang nakakatakot si He Who Remains or Kang because of that. Kasi it only shows na sobrang niyang omniscient.
And omnipotent.
Talagang ka-level niya talaga si Loki. Head-to-head sila.
Ang naging eventual na reveal ni He Who Remains kay Loki is, ang only way to save all of this is to keep the sacred timeline. Which is yun yung gusto ni Kang. So we'll call him Kang kasi nakakabulol na He Who Remains. So we'll call him Kang. So ang gustong gawin ni Kang, yung sacred timeline, mag-remain. Okay?
Actually, sobrang vague nga nung gusto niya Kasi he wants to leave the place. Kasi parang ilang millennia na siyang nandun.
Hindi, gusto niya mag-leave para biglang mag-swarm yung lahat ng variants niya. Gusto niyang mamatay para biglang mag-explode yung time loom. So either way, gusto niya, akala niya, in my opinion akala niya na he figured out 2 ways to win. Akala niya na pag pinatay siya ni Sylvie, nananalo pa rin siya kasi yung floodgates ng mga variant niya magbubulwak na. Or, aantayin niya si Time Slip Loki na bumalik doon at patayin si Sylvie para silang dalawa yung mag-rule over the TVA. Thus keeping the sacred timeline and still keeping him in power. Ang hindi niya na-realize, God pa rin si Loki.
And ito yung parallel niya sa The Marvels. He also created a rift in time-space.
Well, sige. We're gonna get to that. Okay, so
that's how I understood it.
Ito nga yun. Kasi ang ginawa niya ngayon, nalaman niya na the only way to save everything is to destroy everything.
And create something new.
Okay? So, yung kanila, bumalik siya dun sa point na pinapasugod nila si Spaghetti Timely sa labas. Na-realize niya na siya pala yung dapat lalabas.
Yes.
Sisirain niya yung loom itself. And ang gagawin niya is yung kanyang power as a god ang make sure na buhay lahat ng timeline. Yan. So yun, sinabi mo na magbubukas siya ng rift. Binuksan niya yung rift na yun para yung energy ng lahat ng mga timelines na hawak niya, ma-contain niya sa isang lugar na hindi maaapektuhan yung TVA.
Alam mo, one detail na naalala ko, yung walkway napapunta dun sa parang thingamajig na
yung
papunta dun sa na pang-shoot dun sa time loom. It looks like the Rainbow Bridge,
diba? No? Para pang Rainbow Bridge. Tapos may sinabi din pa siya kay may sinabi din pa siya kay Sylvie nung sinarado niya yung palabas. Ano sabi niya, yung I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this for us. Yun yung eksaktong sinabi niya ni Loki kay Odin bago niya sirain or tinry sirain ng Jotunheim doon sa Loki 1. Sa Thor 1 pa. So, di mo yung parang, oh my God.
Callback after. That's how you do callbacks.
Yeah.
Dapat may gravity, may depth.
Yun. So, eventually, na-realize nga niya na he has to be the one to control or to take care of the timelines. Kasi sinabi na ni Kang na, I know the equation. Ang kanyang equation lang is either he stays king in the sacred timeline or his variants are everywhere after the loom is destroyed. Hindi niya na-realize na Loki can change the equation. And the way he changes the equation is one of the best sequences in MCU history.
Not to mention, sobrang bittersweet.
Sobrang,
Kaya, sobrang sakto yung sinabi nila dun sa logline ng episode. He finally realizes the meaning, the true nature of glorious purpose.
And one of the reasons why na-realize niya yun is, nag-time slip pa siya, paatras, dun sa unang conversation nila ni Mobius, back in season 1. Also in the episode called Glorious Purpose.
And sobrang touching nun. Sobrang... Oo, grabe. Ang ganda talaga ng writing. Sobra.
Yung sinabi niya na sometimes
glorious purpose is not about the glory.
Purpose is not glorious. Sometimes it's a burden. Yan.
And it's a burden you have to choose to take.
Yes.
There's no glory in it.
Yes, that's true.
But it's the right thing to do.
And
because of the big picture. It's sobrang deep nung conversation nila na yon na finally Loki was able to answer the questions na nagbabag sa kanya ever since the beginning.
Since his birth.
Na he wanted to be a ruler. He wanted to be a king. He wanted to be loved. He wanted a glorious purpose. Yun naman yung conflict niya eh, 'di ba? Kay Thor, kay Odin, dun sa talagang story niya when he was introduced.
True.
And dito na answer. So this is such a fantastic conclusion.
Well, anyway, sige, tapusin na natin. So, yun na nga, na-realize niya yung kanyang purpose and he decides to be the one to go outside and face the temporal energy and the temporal radiation and yung scattering timelines, exploding timelines. So, eventually, sumabog siya, hinayaan niya. So, namatay yung lahat ng timeline pero hinawakan niya yung lahat sabay-sabay. Ginive niya ng life with using his magic. Tapos, nag-transform siya. Dati yung suot niya yung TVA na uniform. Tapos, lumabas yung kanyang original na yung Loki horns. Plus, pero ito pa, yung Loki horns niya, tsaka yung cape niya, meron nung
yung strands.
Yung gold strands na parang kay He Who Remains.
So, he became the one who remains in that realm.
Pero ito pa, okay, so just to continue. Kinuha niya lahat yon, binigyan niya ng life in another separate reality para hindi ma-affectan yung TVA. And in the reality where he stood, or he finally took his throne as the one who remains. Okay?
Sobrang
na pinakita na yung lahat ng mga timelines na ginawa niya, na hinawakan niya at binigyan niya ng buhay, ay naging multiversal version ng Yggdrasil.
Or the Tree of Life.
Tree of Life.
From the Norse mythology.
From Thor 1.
And also, from the mythology itself, kung saan based yung Marvel character, comics character na Thor.
Yes.
And Loki. Ang ganda niyang return to the beginning. Ang ganda niyang closed loop talaga siya.
Ang ganda na eventually nalaman mo na yung ito, pagkatapos natin mapunod to, sinabi ko sa iyo na, okay, yung buhay ni Loki was always going to go here. Mamamatay man siya dun sa Infinity War, parang iikot pa rin yung buhay niya kasi nga magta-time travel pabalik yung Avengers to save him again or to resurrect him. Ngayon, akala niya na yung kanyang pagiging trap sa TVA inconvenience, doon na pala papunta yung kanyang glorious purpose to make sure that everything is held together as the Kangs try to wreak havoc through the multiverse. Loki is no longer the god of mischief.
He is now the god of stories.
Siya na. He is the god of the multiverse. Loki.
Pero ang official tagline niya na is the God of Stories.
Pero
and
yun na nga.
Meron din talagang storyline nun sa comics.
Yes. Pero yun, he ends up in his own dimension. Para nga siyang si Strange Supreme. Na meron siyang sarili niyang pocket in the universe. Pero ang difference nila kung si Strange Supreme talagang sinira niya yung buong universe para makuha si Christine. Ito at least, tinrap niya yung sarili niya in a universe to save everybody else.
Just to contextualize that, that came from an episode of What If? An animated show sa Disney Plus, which is a very good show din na ginawa nung Disney TV era, Disney Plus TV, na relevant pa rin dito sa big picture na to. Sobrang heartbreaking, sobrang bittersweet nitong victory ni Loki na finally, he got what he wanted. He became king.
Actually, nakakatuwa nga kasi ang sobrang heartbreaking. You feel for Loki kasi just a couple of episodes ago, sinabi niya kay Sylvie na, why do you want to save the TVA?
Yeah.
Yung sinabi na, parang, why do you want to save the TVA? Sa akin, sabi ni Loki, it's not about the TVA. I just want to save my friends. Now, for once in his life, meron siyang mga taong kasama that want the best for him and also he wants the best for them.
Mm-hmm.
And sobrang heartbreaking lang kasi ang ending is he gave himself just to make sure na everyone else gets their best.
He got a true hero's sacrifice arc.
On the level of Tony Stark Endgame. True.
Pero this time, hindi siya namatay.
Hindi siya namatay. So, meron pang Loki, sana bumalik ka sa Secret Wars, please.
Pero ang theory ko dyan I think since it began with Loki, yung Kang story began with Loki, it should end with Loki din.
Oo.
And gusto ko na dapat sila yung maghaharap in the end.
Ang maganda dito sana, magkasama sila ni Thor. Kasi dapat dun sa panahon na yon, old man Thor na siya. Wala na siyang ibang pwedeng gawin sa universe kundi i-sync up, kumbaga, yung power niya with old man Loki, God of Stories, para talunin si Kang once and for all.
And maganda din na talagang i-take na niya yung rightful place niya as a god, si Thor. Kasi para sa akin, mas satisfying kung ang magiging conclusion ng character arc niya is dun din sa Yggdrasil.
Yun na nga nangyari dito.
Hindi, si Thor.
Si Thor. Okay. Sorry. Gets.
Kasi sa ngayon, parang nagwawalwal si Kuya.
Si Thor, Space Boy.
Oo. Pero meron siyang inadopt na bata, di ba? Pero parang he's just gallivanting in the universe, in the galaxy. So, parang kailangan din ni Thor ng glorious purpose na gantong level.
Feeling ko in the future, somebody will tell him na where Loki is. Na there's a Loki na still alive. Pero he's the one keeping all of this together. So siya, naaalala niya yung sinasabi ni Loki dun sa kanya nung ending ng...
Nung bago namatay yung Infinity War Loki.
Na parang the sun will rise on us again, brother.
Gusto ko na mag-end sila together.
Na talagang yes. The sun did shine on them again. Pero kung mamamatay man sila, at least on their terms. Hindi yun dahil pinaghiwalay sila ng isang megalomaniacal na nagpapakagad. So, if you really, really want to just listen, we really recommend na you watch this talaga. Kasi it's best experienced. It's unlike any of the recent MCU stuff they've come out with recently.
If you like good storytelling, I'm telling you, you're gonna love this.
Kung naging jaded ka na, babalik yung trust mo sa MCU dito.
Not to mention, ang onti lang nung episodes. Ang dali-dali lang niyang panoorin. And sobrang satisfying and cathartic. And you're gonna love Loki more if you don't love him that much yet.
Yun, tama yun. You're gonna love him more. Yes. So, I guess that is joint recommendation na yun.
Yes. In the words of Jeremy Jahns, this is awesome-tacular.
Yes, it is. Itong episode na to. And including this season 2.
The entire series.
Season 1 and 2.
We don't know yet if it's coming back. Kasi walang nakalagay na Loki will... And yun nga yung pinoint out mo na the title of the first episode of season 1 was Glorious Purpose. Tapos same title of this episode na finale ng season 2. I think it already come full circle. Hindi na siya magtutuloy.
Hindi na.
If tutuloy man yung story ni Loki, baka sa Avengers Kang Dynasty na.
Kasi siya na yung parang nagme-make sure na na everything is held together. Siya na nga, God of Stories, yun yung official niya, pero siya na yung God of the Multiverse. So siya talaga yung magiging kalaban ni Kang talaga dapat sa pinakadulo. Okay. No, nothing else to add, just to let you know, okay? We weren't paid to blab about this excitedly, itong Marvel's End, the finale of season 2 ng Loki. Okay, the studios didn't also seek us out to have us review this, so they're hearing this for the first time, same as you are.
So that's it for the Marvels and the season 2 finale of Loki. If you've seen any or both of them, please share with us what you thought about it. Comment it on our social media. Again, we are on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and X or Twitter at CineGeeksPod. Also, visit our website, www.cinegeekspod.com for the latest movie, TV, and geek stuff news.
Don't forget to set your players to automatically download our new episodes so you don't miss out on our fun CineGeek conversations.
And by the way, of course, give us a follow on Facebook, Threads, and X and Instagram so you can join in on the CineGeeks fun. You can also share with us yung reaction nyo dito sa dalawang diniscuss natin ngayon.
Yes. And while you're at it, please leave us a 5-star review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and a thumbs up on YouTube if you absolutely enjoyed this episode.
All right. For my co-host Troy, this has been Angela. Thank you for listening to the CineGeeks podcast, where movies, TV, and all things geek collide.